to, you can introduce
I can introduce.
the guys.
Yeah, we're going to talk about data. We have two great innovators here from the tech side and one brand representative. Please give a warm hand to David Thunmarker, CEO and co-founder of Impulso, Daniel Di Benedetto, Regional Director Euro North for Centric Software, and Martin Börjesson, Chief Technology and Sustainability Officer for J. Lindeberg. Welcome, guys.
Hey.
Thank you.
Hey.
Please.
Great. Yes, we've been talking about it a lot, and the key message is like we don't have time, and we cannot afford to guess anymore. We need to do it right, and we need to use data so much more, not only to be more profitable and more relevant in assortment and design the right stuff, but also, of course, to be more local, relevant in assortment, pricing, and don't be overstock and not understock or whatever you say, out of stock. So be efficient with your own resources and also the planets, of course. And I love to have you guys here because you are representing actually this problem in a great way. And I will start.
So what, are we the problem?
You are
Apparently.
the problem. No.
Most likely. That's a good.
You're the solution. And Martin, you are coming from the industry, and you have a really interesting role with both the IT guy and the sustainability guy. So, and it's really also my vision about solving the problem with technology. So can you just give me, how come you have those two hats on you?
It's a super interesting question, and I'm happy to share that actually it's due to my daughters. You know, they can actually affect your business career and your development. I started out their way of, running the world and living in the world of being sustainable and buying and selling all the pre-loved platforms, and obviously that's technology, right? So there you have the connection between the technology and the sustainability. So Selfie and Vinted and Swappy, whatever it's called, starting to think about that. How can I be part of that? And then obviously J. Lindeberg in the sustainability aspect has a huge responsibility to take. So I went to my boss and said, you know what, I want to do more and better for the company. And then you make a deal, and then you get on with it. That's it.
That's perfect. And how do you see these two come together?
Well, to be quite honest, sustainability do not come through pen and paper, right? There's a lot of technology around that can affect our sustainability aspects and improve it. Some of them are really close to the way that we produce and pick garments and fabrics, etc. But in reality, there's other aspects as well, which is really close to what I do for a living as the technology aspect. I mean, just take some simple things. So on day one, we decided to go on pre-loved all on the equipment. We don't buy any new equipment any longer to any of our employees. They get better, iPhones and better computers and laptops, but they have had a previous life. So we take care of the products and obviously the equipment in a better way than we did before, which is just a small thing of the change that we can do. But as I run technology, I decide that, and we then just do it. It's not difficult. Perfect. And if it doesn't work, then you change.
And as a fashion brand, of course, it's important to create products that will sell in the right way. So how do you today use data when you're doing planning of assortment and all of that?
Well, to be brutally honest, not good enough. Because, first of all, there's a challenge with J. Lindeberg. I bet most companies have this challenge. So we do not have access to the performance of our products in a full scale. So we have the B2B aspects, which is very limited to us, and then obviously we have the e-com and the retail, where we have the full visibility on the sell-through and the returns and claims and everything like that. But if you think that 75% of what we sell is going to the B2B, which is basically a black hole, we need to tap into that information and bring it back to the PDs, and the PDs needs to be on fire.
What's the PD? I'm sorry.
Product developer. That's not even a tech term. You should know.
It's a fashion term.
I'm sorry. And by the way, it's not 3 letters because that is IT and 2 is business. No, but seriously speaking, so they need to be on fire on the claims and the returns and the sell-through. And today, I think that they're a little bit stopping on that. They produced a garment that was then ending up on a shelf or someone bought it on the wholesale selling, but that's not enough. I'm sorry. They need to do better, and they need to be basically obsessed with the sell-through and the claims to be able to understand how to develop an even better product next season.
Yeah, it's really interesting because then now we are talking about the big challenge in becoming data-driven. It's both getting all the information, and you will get the word soon, but also to structure it and act on it. So it is not easy, but that is the only way. So and that's why we are doing this, and we will develop a journey together with different brands that are in the forefront. And I'm so happy that you have those two roles because you will be best in class. But coming to you guys, Impulso is a company coming from you in person, coming from the industry, having been a CIO of Tiger.
Correct.
CIO.
No, CEO.
CEO,
and
sorry.
also Scandinavian MIND.
Yeah, sorry. And one of the problem was what Martin just said, that this lack of being blind actually out in the wholesale area. So can you explain what you are doing at Impulso?
Yeah, when I started this my career in fashion, 2003, everyone told me that wholesale will die. And now we're sitting here in 2025, and 60% of all apparel is still going wholesale, online and offline. So what we're doing here at Impulso is that we are connecting brands with the retailers. So they having all the sell-through data in real time, and therefore going from blind to see. And it comes from my previous, if I give you an example, when I like the thought that I was so techy, so I could be a CIO. But when I was the CEO, we were having a turnover of 130 million euros. 65 million euros were in our own channels. We were able every single day to see what's selling, not selling, squeeze out all the profitability, getting all the sell-through back to our design teams. So they become much more data-driven. Our production people were able to pre-book their production much more, not 100% gut feeling. And also when we're buying all our fabrics and so forth. Because we all have the lead times, and I don't think that everyone shows up to work to be mediocre. So you do what you can do. But then I was sending out 65 million euros into wholesale. 1,000 retailers in 19 markets. We knew what we were shipping out. But then, for the whole season, pitch black. And 1 week before sales starts, 1,000 retailers starts to call. And then me and my co-founder, Mattias Olsson, comes from the retail and buying side, working with 200 brands. We were sitting there that, hey, this exists in food and fast-moving consumer goods. How come this 1.7 trillion euro business having 1 trillion euro of goods out there every single year untracked? So that become our mission, to take brands from blind to see and increase sell-through, and by that also reducing overproduction.
Yeah, and that is amazing because that is one part of the problem. And the other part is to structure data and use it and act on it. And when we talk about this, going back to the overproduction problem and being more relevant, having the right prices, everything that is doing, giving the business power to be more profitable, but also more clever and more efficient and sustainable, we have the system for that, and that is the PLM, Product Lifetime Management.
Life cycle, yeah.
Life cycle.
Yep. Lifetime better.
Could be lifetime.
More sustainable.
With
Good.
the DPP,
Actually,
lifetime, actually. We should
I'll go back
change
to my
it.
R&D and say, let's change
Reshape
the
it.
meaning of the L.
Yeah.
But I like it.
So can you, Daniel, just share what Centric is doing and how they are solving the problem of having the wrong product at the wrong location?
Yeah, no, I think tapping into both these discussions from a sustainability perspective, but also a profit perspective. You don't know what you sell, therefore you don't know what to make decisions on. And if you can't make the right decision, how do you know which options you should choose in your assortment plan? So I think what we do, we organize all that flow of data in the product life cycle, and with planning, making sure that we have the right pricing, making sure that we know what the competitors are doing so we can get that information in and so forth, giving the PDs and the designers and the category managers and the buyers the most efficient way of what you know to now in terms of data to make the right decisions for the options. Of course, if you're blind to what you sell, then it still is somewhat a guesstimate. So, I mean, what is important is to get the right type of level of hit rates on your products. And of course, the more data you have, the better. I think that we have also been quite focused on the more numeric part of the businesses, so like the commercial merchandisers, etc. You know what you sell, so you move around data in the logistics, but you already made a decision, so you already planned 40% overstock and so forth. Why don't you get rid of that? Well, part of it is because we don't have the engines to flow the data back in. But once we have that data, we help the businesses to do the right assortment decisions, I would say, to get the best hit rates. And I think it's quite obvious with some of our clients that actually have decreased their SKU tail immensely. So they are not on the 25-30% leftover threshold. They are probably on a 5 to 10% threshold, which is significant sustainability impact and definitely profit impact, of course.
Of course. Can you give some examples?
Yeah, I don't know if I have in the room. One client is Gant here in town. I mean, they start their process by cutting the SKU tail, basically. Okay, what didn't sell, get it out, get it to the designers, the buyers, and the merchandisers in the same room. How will our assortment plan look like, and what should we continue to develop? So they really become profitable. I mean, and they use the value chain of data. Now, they also have a huge wholesale part, which is partly guesstimates, but at least they start with facts. And not only the merchandisers, but the designers and the buyers sit together with these guys and base their decisions on facts. Echo is another example, right?
So what data are we talking about? Because we're talking about a lot of data, but what data do you look at so you can get more clever?
The simple answer is any. I mean,
the data you have.
Yeah, the more data you have, the better off you are. But predominantly, it's of course you want to have some sell-through data. You need also the market pricing data. You also need the cost pricing data, of course, because at the end of the day, if you have a super duper price for a product, you have calculated on a super duper margin for that product, and the buyer is blind to that data, they will go and do a super crazy cost price for that data, and you eroded the margin, and that price will not fly anyway. But you're late in the process, so you can't stop the buy process.
But that's the good thing with the whole value chain here, that we actually are doing it over and over and over again, and you see how everything is linked together.
Yeah. So talking about like decreasing the overproduction and stuff, going into sustainability and DPP, that is something that everyone is talking about, digital product passport, forced by the Green Deal and EU. But also opening up a lot of great possibilities for the industry. Me that is optimistic is just focusing on them. So starting with you, Martin, how do you look at DPP?
A great possibility because legislators are always behind, so the customer is always in front. So this is the minimum requirement that we need to live up with. And it's also another great way of getting attention on things that people might think being boring, but it's actually business possibilities and business developments for us. If you work with quality and want to work with longevity in your design, the DPP will actually serve us very, very well in the future. So super positive, and we have created some sustainability KPIs, which is based on that the DPP will be a cornerstone. We will track and trace individual garments when it makes sense. just to prove the longevity of the design. And then obviously then the expire or their journey of their life, so to say. So one customer, many caretakers, that we will have to see.
And what is the biggest challenge with?
Well, some of the challenges is that we don't really know how the legislator will evaluate our implementation of the DPP yet, and no one has actually. But that doesn't really stop us from working, because we need to change and we need to update the ways that we produce the first DPP compared to what we'd produce in a couple of years maybe, and that will be related to the data and the accessibility of the data that we'll have. So just to tap into that, I mean, the data that we have, it's going to be great if we can trust it, and it's also going to be great on a different perspective, because the DPs, or the PDs today, obviously we don't want to be people dependent. And if we can gather all that data that is trustworthy, we will release the people dependence and we will scale with the data instead. And then we can start to work with things like price elasticity, etc. Bet you know all about that, which is super interesting, but that will be reliable on the data again, the sell-throughs and all that kind of stuff. So DPP is, please bring it on.
We're going to talk more about DPP in the next session, but Martin, I know you're doing some experiments in-house as well when it comes to kind of visualizing data for your team. And you looked at kind of return. Can you share, you know what I'm talking about? I thought it was such a fun anecdote, but maybe we can bring it up.
You did ask if you could ask that question. I said yes, so let's talk about it. So not directly related to DPP, but data is of course of interest, and I'm kind of statistical guy in the background as well, so not that much tech even. So, but I like business and I live for business, and that's why I go to work, right? Because we need to be successful. So together with some of our partners, we introduced what's called Returns Day. I bet you saw it, 19th of June. We put a focus on returns, and internally in JL, we wanted to basically just share the statistic of the returns. Where do we get returns from? What are the reasons to the returns? What product categories are dominant in returns, etc.? And how do we avoid returns? And I mean, you can quote me on this, but I will still claim that we're a little bit of a Mickey Mouse company. We're a small company, right? 250 employees. And then we calculated the accumulated distance that our returns traveled over 15 months. How many laps around the world do you believe that our returns did for 15 months accumulated, because rejected or not even picked up at the pickup point? And I know that you will be all wrong.
I was completely wrong when I tried.
You were so wrong.
Both outbound.
No, only return. Only return.
David, you have some experience. Maybe you can have a guess here. How many laps around the world does J. Lindeberg's garments travel?
This is a toughie.
Yeah, now I'm sitting here without pants, it feels like.
You can't be more off than me. I said 3 laps.
Oh, okay, no, but it's way more. 100 laps around the world.
And Daniel?
1,563.
Well, you're almost cheating, but 1,314.
There you go.
I mean, come on. It's absolutely insane, right?
Insane.
And that is then due to bracketing, and obviously we have a play to play here as well, making sure that the objects are portrayable, so 3D images converts much better, and they will keep the garments and the products if we can produce that, or AR, which we're also using right now, but still the behavior that we do, and I thank my daughters again for bringing me into this, because there's so much to do. And then I know that there are people in the audience representing much larger companies. Don't do the math. Sorry.
But imagine, then we, per year, 1.7 trillion
and then
euros.
CO2 emission,
the question, and you, unfortunately, you're not 50% of that turnover yet.
No.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is a problem. It's a big problem.
But let's go after it.
And it's perfect that you are on it. Daniel, back to DPP, because this is a big hassle, and we see a lot of sustainability managers that don't have the knowledge of IT as you, that is trying to do the task like backwards. So they are tracing every SKU backwards to find all the information about the vendors and the material and the countries, and that is a big task. So, Daniel, when you have a PLM in place, how do you support your customers with doing the DPP and sustainability reporting?
I mean, we just released the version 8 of the software. So, I mean, we for the past 2-3 years, we have actually been quite intensely developing the support for not only DPP, but all other legislation reporting. I think that we are, in a way, we end up in talking about DPP as that's like the acronym for sustainability in a way. But at the end of the day, I see that more as I would say the digital passport is like your passport. When you travel, when you move, when you do things, you bring an ID card or a passport. That tells something about you. You have an identificator, and that connects a lot of data around yourself, which is the same thing as for the garments or whatever product you would sell, because it's not only fashion industry. DPP goes for a lot of other consumer products and whatever have you. I think on the other side, it should be just a way of simply reporting what's needed for governments, etc. But then back to, I think, I like your point, Martin. This is a customer communication platform in a way. It's a way of communicating the good and the bad and whatever things with the product. And if you are smart, because if you have the data when you create the product, if we leave the sales number out for a moment, you will generate your bill of material anyway. You will know what materials you have. I think the biggest challenge for most of the fashion industry is that they don't even know what material they make their products of. But once you know that, you know what fibers you're using, you know what colors are being used to dye the product, etc. Well, then it's only a fact on the bill of material, and that is what you have to use when you want to report to create the DPP for a product, for instance. Yep. So I think the bigger question is, how do we do all this ESG reporting? And if we don't start backwards, we start with knowing what we put into the product, well, that is a no-brainer as well.
Yeah. So if we don't
stop chasing the tail,
yeah,
we say so. But you need to change the process, and I think that is the bigger challenge here. That's a big change management, and we talk about smaller organizations getting reliefs for DPP, etc. Well, you get reliefs for not reporting on your product, and I think that is taking away a competitive advantage, to be honest. So if you know everything about your product, you have a huge competitive advantage.
So going back to thinking about this as an opportunity.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
And actually what the consumer wants. Because the new modern consumer wants that data.
It becomes your book of teaching them what they're buying as well.
Yeah.
And you create awareness and consciousness and so forth.
Yeah, and I think actually, because it's one thing...
And brand identity.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Back to this new way of searching, because I think when we are buying in a store, the old way of buying clothes, maybe everyone are not looking at that data. But when we are searching, and we will search so much more, I think sustainable will come, because that is like that's easy for us to say when we put everything in there and we are sitting in front of the search. But when we are in a store and we are in a hurry, maybe we don't consider that so much. So I think it will be even more important when we are shifting way of shopping. But okay, we are ending up. This is my favorite topic, so I don't want to end this. But
we can continue. We have a couple more minutes.
Okay. So last question: if we are dreaming and looking forward, and we have a world where we have all the data and it's connected, so we know what's working, not working, and we can take decision on that. How do you perceive the fashion business when everything is in place?
Yeah, that's a big question, when everything is in place. I think we all dream of this one solution, but I think we're very far from that. But what I'm already seeing, if I'm looking in my small world and circle, is that just now I did one prompt with our predictive AI, and then testing out a brand who's then having 1,200 SKUs out there at 1,200 different retailers, and I don't need to go into Excel to do that. I get my 5 actions on specifically with my AI companion telling me these are the 5 things that I should do to drive sell-through the next week, meaning that I as a person have shifted, because without that, in best case, I spend 95% of my time on analyzing things and maybe 5% of actually taking actions. This flips everything out because I know exactly what's the slow mover, what are my stock outs, where are my campaigns, and I can spend so much time on actually acting on data.
But just, David, I want to give you an opportunity also to because we talked about like, you know, infusing data in the whole value chain, infusing it in your operations, having it sort of to lean on to make better decisions. Do you have any like concrete example of like when you are going from this situation where you're sending out all the products to your retailers and you don't know what's happening? When you're going from that situation to actually seeing what's happening, do you have any case studies you can mention?
Yeah, I have one that's really fresh, and that's with a Swedish brand called Cavalier. And they have went through, during they compared this spring 25 versus spring 24. They took over and got full insight in their never out of stock at their retailers. And they were achieving a 240% sales increase on those products. And in my return on investment cases, I am happy if you reach 5.
Right.
So Cavalier, imagine the low-hanging fruit. When they look at it and they said that it really hurts in my stomach because it's the same retailers, it's the same products. This is just due to lack of data. It's no more rocket science. And if we're having that kind of low-hanging fruits, I'm pretty sure that.
And the action is you see now what's happening with the retailers. You can then restock and send more of the products that people are asking for and so forth.
And you're reducing. You get drowned. Either you don't have data, or you have data and it's so complex, so it takes too long time for you. You don't know how to act. By using this tool that you exactly knows what to do, then you get these kind of results.
Interesting.
Yeah, so good. Martin, when in a world where you have all the data, as we're talking about here, what business opportunities, values?
I'm going to go soft on this one. I'm going to go from the consumer and customer side. I think it would be adorable and very admirable if we eventually can see customers bragging about their wardrobe being CO2 emission neutral, or as low as possible, and that you can live with small but still being on top of your fashion, should we say, presence, and we would be a vital part of that, because we would produce products obviously of long-lasting quality, but also design, and with a CO2 emission that is really, really minimized. That would be it, and then I'm out and retired.
Perfect.
Yes.
Daniel.
All right. Yeah. Getting back to the circle of data, I think for us who are in the forefront of the development of assortments, getting like even RFID data back or whatever sales data you have, like with Impulse or whatever you have, that can help you feed the decision process and make data democratic in a way. It's not the IT department that should come with an IT solution that will help you to look at data. It should be part of your blood. It should be part of your daily work. Whatever position, whatever part of the organization you sit in, you should always use data, because at the end of the day, if you use the data right, in my world, you will have so much better hit rates on your products, which will, again, if we reduce 30% overstock to 0, we have actually reduced the footprint with 30%. It's piece for piece, which means that we have solved a lot of the sustainability problems with that as well.
Yeah, and also if we can sell all the products to the price without discount, it
You're
will also
profitable too.
affect the margins a lot. So it's a
good point.
win-win.
And just happens when you do this for everyone. I think that's because I can assure you that the solutions are not in former fashion CEOs or in the IT departments. About having data democratic spread down to everyone who actually moves the needle.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big shift. It's
Yeah.
been top management who should point what to do. That's not. By these tools, you flip that coin 100%, and that would make the biggest difference.
Yeah, and I think actually to end up, I think that is the biggest value of digitalization. It's to become more data-driven, to not maybe automate and doing the same stuff quicker that we started with, but really putting the data first and taking all the decisions in a process and doing right stuff instead of quicker. That is the biggest value, I guess. And that's why I really enjoy talking about the processes of a whole industry and how digital tools can empower both profitability and sustainability at the same time. Thank you so much. This is amazing. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.